Welcome, everybody, back to my 32 fan series. If this is the first episode that you're listening to, I am talking to one fan from all 32 of the lovely NFL teams. And today I have the pleasure of talking about the San Francisco 49ers. And anytime I can draw Mike Patton away from covering the AFC South to talk about his 49ers, I feel like I should get like a badge of honor or something like that. So, anyways, if you are interested in consuming anything Mike Patton has going on in his life, I will put it in the description and the show notes. So you can just click on it. He has some amazing content. I sneak over there from time to time, add my 2 cents and just like it and move on. So I want to encourage you to go do the same, especially if you're a 49ers fan and you just want to hear how he talks about other teams. Anyways, without further ado, I would love for you to just like introduce yourself, whatever you want to say.
All right, my name is Mike Patton, of course, host touring the AFC South. Been doing this for roughly about 5 years, talking about the Texans, Titans, Colts, and Jaguars. Just an overall football lover, former football player, not at the pro level, by the way, but just through college. But definitely love the game, love to talk about the game. And that's where touring the AFC South was birthed. And I also do writing as well. Eventually, you'll see where all that comes back. It hasn't come. It's been missing for a little bit, but it'll be back.
Yeah. I love that. Nobody should ever be like sad when writing is making a comeback. So I love that. So how are you feeling about the 49ers? I know that you all had amazing all black jerseys that were fantastic to to last season, which I really enjoyed. But how are you feeling overall about your team, about the structure, about the makeup? Like how is it being a 49ers fan right now?
Well, first thing I want to say is, they kind of made me a little upset because I wish they would have worn the black jerseys more, because I believe every team in the NFL should have a black jersey. That is one of my unpopular opinions. But,
Okay.
I definitely feel like, the team last year, I was like, they were cool, because they were actually fighting through injuries the entire time, which seems to be the story of our lives. We're always fighting through injury. And I'm like, okay, cool. We fought hard. We did what we needed to do. Of course, we had some injuries and help end our season and injuries to start our season this year with George Kittle. So, not feeling, I'm feeling kind of like, okay, why do we have to always fight through injuries? That is kind of my feeling I have on the team right now.
Okay. I would say that that's fair. So, how was the draft for you? Did you like your picks? Do you feel confident? What's one word that you would use to describe your draft picks?
Okay. I would say okay. Looking at some of them, they got a little age on them. Some of them do. Now, Edge Romello Height from Texas Tech is 25 years old already, and the season has started. And the running back from Indiana, Kalen Black, is 24, and he'll be 25 during next season. So I'm like, okay, we're expecting them to come in and just play, or what are we expecting here? To me, that was kind of a little questionable. To me, you're drafting people that are 24. They better be in their primes literally in like the next 2 years, or it's going to be over. So,
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was kind of like, I don't know. But I will say we did draft one of the best names in NFL football for this year.
Okay. I love that. So I do have a theory about college football players being older. And I believe that for the next couple of years, that's going to be a thing because they're granting all of these extra years of eligibility. So I don't know if it's a terrible thing just yet. The NFL is testing it and experimenting, and kids are staying longer in college because they're getting paid. So it will be interesting to see what that actually means on the back end of things for NFL teams. But so
if you like this video, now is a perfect time to take a second and hit that like button and leave us a comment in the comment section below.
Who was your pick on day 2, day 3 that you were like, this guy could end up being a steal?
Well, honestly, I kind of went a little back and forth on that one. And it was a couple guys, actually. And I think the 4th round might be good for the 49ers this year. You got Halton that they drafted, defensive tackle from Oklahoma. That defense was nasty this year. And Halton was definitely a pass rusher in the interior. And adding that for the 49ers, that's something that the 49ers always look for, is somebody that you can create nasty work in the trenches. And Halton can definitely do that. But I will say that Ephesians Prysock, which I think is one of the best names in the NFL. I think Ephesians Prysock could definitely be a guy. He's 6'3", almost 6'4", and is physical, and he can move the feet a little bit. If he can kind of, ease up on the penalties at the next level, I think we could have something in Ephesians. Yes, I'm going to say that name as many times as I possibly can because I like it.
Yeah. And he was destined to be a star. So let's hope that he gets this figured out. I can't wait to hear the broadcast saying his name multiple times in a game. I love that. Shout out to whoever named him. Respect to them. So who is the one player from the draft class that you think is going to make the biggest immediate impact?
One to make the biggest impact. I would say this, probably maybe Stribling, because he's a big man that can move. And,
Okay.
of course, he has sometimes issues fighting the football. But, yeah, I could probably say Stribling. I actually got to talk with him at the NFL Combine in regards to, leadership and how the coaching, kind of instability, I should say, happening there with Lane Kiffin. Kind of talk, his leadership and things like that, and how it kind of tested it. So I'm pretty, even though he went probably a little higher than probably a lot of people thought, I'm still kind of thinking he can make that impact, because there's always injuries in the wide receiver room in the 49ers. And there's going to be that probably happen, because you do have a Mike Evans who's a little bit older. You do have a Christian Kirk who was pretty dinged up over the last few years with the Jaguars and with the Texans. And of course, you do have Ricky at the wide receiver position too. I just call him Ricky. You yelling Ricky, what I'm saying, because he always, Ricky, something like that. But something always happens with Ricky when you yelling Ricky like that, So, but yeah, I'm just to me, injuries at the wide receiver spot, I'm like, yeah, I can see Stribling kind of diving in there and making some things happen.
Okay. That wouldn't entirely shock me either. So I didn't hate the pick. I know a lot of people were kind of like, "Woo, he went high." But I think I liked it. So, and when you know what you need, I always say I have a rule: when you know what you need, you got to go get what you need. So, I didn't hate it. So, let's see how that pans out. Is there a player your team passed on multiple times though that you think, "Man, we should have gotten him when we had the opportunity," and that's going to come back to haunt you guys?
Well, there's only one player I would think about, and the only reason he dropped so far is because of injuries, and that's Jermon McCoy. I honestly still think that Jermon McCoy will be the best corner to come out of this draft. The Raiders ended up drafting him at pick number 101. So to me, I think the Raiders got themselves a steal in Jermon McCoy. I understand everyone talking about, a potential degenerative knee issue, and maybe he has to have another surgery. I'm thinking, that's all smoke and mirrors. And I'm thinking that guy starts or has a ton of playing time for the Raiders to start this season and goes out there with a chip on the shoulder, just like Ruben Bain is going to have a chip on his shoulders in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I love a chip on the shoulder type of player. Like, that is my favorite player. Give me the chip, give me all the y'all doubted me. I need that. Like, sign me up for that. So, and I hope Ruben Bain goes and becomes a star. So, shout out to Ruben Bain. So, let's talk about the team a little bit. So, I feel like the 49ers are similar to the Steelers in the sense of the stability and the continuation. Obviously this year we have a different coach, but there's just certain expectations that you always expect for your team. So for you, what would success look like at the end of the year? What are you thinking? Okay, we had a successful season. Obviously, as a 49ers fan, you're probably always thinking Super Bowl. But if it's not that, what is something that you're like, at least whatever that is, what would that be for you?
I would say at least the NFC Championship game for this team. I know I'm setting expectations high. You said, hey, the Super Bowl, but I was going to say that. But
yeah,
to me, I would say I would say, the NFC Championship game, because I believe or hope that everyone is healthy this year.
Yeah.
I hope that, we don't have to depend on Christian McCaffrey like that this year. Hence we probably got all these different backs to back him up, probably where Kalen Black came from. But, just hoping that everyone stays healthy, everyone does what they're supposed to do, and that, we get some good defensive back play, especially at the cornerback position, because we need that. We need that. I need you to show up, Ephesians, and show out. That's what I need. Thank you.
I love that. Okay. Fair enough. Is it's awesome that you keep saying his name. Okay. Which position group worries you the most at this point?
Oh, that's got to be the cornerback room. I mean, that's that was one that we were having issues with last year, and teams took advantage of that. So
Mhm.
coming into this year, I need that room to have taken those lessons from last year and continue to grow from those lessons last year, and working on the technique, things like that. Because I watch a lot of the different techniques of defensive backs as I play defensive back, so I can tell when somebody is out there doing the most or not doing the most. So, definitely got to work on those techniques, got to work on those different things. It's little technical things that get the 49ers cornerbacks in trouble. It's not necessarily scheme things. If it's scheme things and you're just overmatched, totally get it. But if
Yeah.
you're doing it to yourself, then that's when I have the issue. So I would say that's probably the biggest sense of growth I want to see from this 49ers defense in terms of the cornerbacks. I do kind of sometimes worry about the offensive line because, Trent Williams, we know he's great. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. We know that. But as far as the rest of the offensive line, sometimes, you're kind of like, thinking about them in the terms of Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what
Mm.
all those type of things. Yeah, that's where I kind of, sometimes think about the 49ers offensive line, and it kind of is like, I don't know what I'm going to get this
Yeah.
game. So, hopefully some more solid play out of them this time.
Okay. Trent Williams, is he like is this another contract year for him? Is he just showing up week 1 ready to go? Like what is there a replacement plan yet? I mean, I what he's just going to be at left tackle for the next 10 years? Like what is the Trent Williams plan?
Well, they just signed him to an extension. They came to an agreement before the season, so I think he's good to go.
Okay.
Um, But I would say I don't know what the backup plan is for Trent Williams. I think they drafted an offensive lineman this year, and to me, I think that Kyle Shanahan is like the MacGyver of coaches when it comes to offense.
Okay.
So, he can figure out some things to maybe shield or whoever is put in there. And we've seen the backup plan a couple of times. However, is it a sustainable backup plan? No. So yeah, they definitely
Okay.
got to look over some things and get some things done. Now, and I will say the last time the 49ers were in a position to replace offensive tackle, remember it was Joe Staley out there, and Joe Staley
Mm,
retired, and then Trent Williams came in. So there's always a plan, or always a good 2 or 3 steps they're thinking ahead in that with that one in terms of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. So they're always keeping their eyes open, I should say.
okay. Okay. I think that's fair. They've earned that. So that's fair. So where do you think this team is the most improved from last season?
I'm going to go to the wide receiver room. The wide receiver room, yeah, definitely, because last year, it could have been me, you, yeah, your mama, your daddy, and your uncle too playing wide receiver for the 49ers last year with all the different injuries and things like that. So, um, yeah, the wide receiver room, you go out and get a veteran in Mike Evans. I mean, he's not the fastest guy, but he does continue to run deep routes. He does make contested catches, and that's a good thing for Brock Purdy because sometimes he throws it in danger zone. So that's a good thing for him. Also, adding a guy like Christian Kirk. Now, I know it doesn't seem like a big addition, However, with having Christian Kirk on this team, what he does add is a guy that, I guess when the lights are bright, he can perform, because if anyone noticed in the postseason last year for the Houston Texans, he was one of CJ Stroud's main targets. Now, I know a lot of CJ Stroud's targets went to the other team in the playoffs. I understand that. But
or the ground.
Christian Kirk did. Or the ground, yes. But Christian Kirk did actually show up and make some things happen, caught a touchdown pass in the playoffs, things like that. So that's a good addition. Maybe Slick Rick, or Riggy, as I call him, will be healthy, and then you got Stribling there as well. And you got some young guys out there that can potentially do some things as well. So a little bit better depth this year at that position, and I am proud of that. And also, I will say, it is good to see Dre Greenlaw come back to the red and gold. So, 1 year away in Denver, and they kind of discarded him. They traded away, the 49ers did, D Winters to the Cowboys. And now you bring back Dre Greenlaw, and you got the dynamic duo together again in Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, which if you're a 49ers fan, you can't help but be somewhat excited about it, although, it kind of broke it up and it just was kind of sad to see. But now, hey, you got the sequel. You got the sequel back now.
Yeah. They're back. Yeah. Shout out to Fred Warner. Not seeing him play was just not fun. So I can't wait to see him back out there. I love me some Fred Warner, and every linebacker I feel like is compared to Fred Warner. So when you're not seeing that guy, it's just, yeah, I miss Fred Warner. I'm not even a 49ers fan, but I wanted to see him on that football field. So that's awesome. So what do you think this team will do better? What do you think this team will do better than most teams in the NFL?
I would say put teams in compromising positions when it comes to, offense versus defense. Kyle Shanahan, if anyone knows anything about Kyle Shanahan, one of the things he does is spatial awareness. Now, let me just explain to you what spatial awareness is. Spatial awareness, knowing where people line up, knowing where, the different weaknesses of different players to get to certain spots, sports, especially when they're put in compromising positions where they've got to make a choice. That's what Kyle Shanahan does. So I think putting teams in different conflicting positions because of spatial awareness, especially with a Mike Evans out there and a Christian Kirk. I know Jake Tongas is going to, if George Kittle is not available to play to start the season, I know Jake Tongas will be there, and he'll be able to do so and still be able to do some things. And he showed he can be a viable weapon.
Yeah.
So, with all the pieces that are on this 49 team, Kyle Juszczyk, I believe he's still there as well. So, one of the only fullbacks in the NFL. But all those different things going on, I definitely expect, the spatial awareness, and that's where I expect the 49ers to excel and hopefully take a little bit of the load off of Christian McCaffrey.
Okay. I love that. I didn't prepare you for this, but I'm 100% sure that you can answer this question. Who's the biggest competition for you, or who's the biggest rival? The Ravens, the Rams, or the Seahawks? Like, which team do you feel like presents the biggest challenge to the 49ers more time than not?
I would say the Rams going into this season. Okay. Now, I understand the Seahawks, and I understand the weapons and all those different things. But if you look at the Rams, the only big weakness the Rams had last year was the cornerback room. They go out there and trade for Trent McDuffie from the Chiefs. They bring his running partner out there in Watson from the Chiefs to the Rams. They strengthen that cornerback room like that on the team that's already pretty much ready to win right now. Oh, yeah. It's got to be the Rams to me. And, no slight to the Seahawks, and they're still going to be a formidable foe. Right. But the Rams right now, especially if Matthew Stafford comes out and plays like he did last year again, boy, oh boy, they are going to be a tough team to tangle with.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, let's get into the fun round. So the fun round, you can give me quick answers if you want, or you can give me an answer and then explain your why. Either one, it's up to you. So the first question is your quarterback confidence on a scale from 1 is get this guy out of here, please, ASAP. 5 is please stay here forever. Where are you at with your quarterback confidence level?
I'll put it at a 4. I can't put it at 5 because he's not a Hall of Famer. If he's a Hall of Famer, I'd put him at 5.
Okay.
And of course, but I do like that Brock Purdy's been in the system for multiple years. He's kind of showed some things in terms of being able to use his mobility, along with being able to use his arm. I will say the thing that worries me about him sometimes is he trusts that arm a little bit too much, and he does not have an arm that is trustworthy to throw it into some of those places. But he is a quarterback that does know the system for Kyle Shanahan, and he's one that Kyle Shanahan loves very, very much. So, hey, I get to put it at a 4.
Fair enough. All right. Coaching staff trust level between 1 and 5.
I'll put that at maybe a 3. The only reason I'll put that at a 3 is I love Kyle Shanahan and things that he does, but sometimes he worries me trying to do a little bit too much and get a little bit too cute over there. When that happens, that kind of frustrates me as a 49ers fan. But flip it over defensively, we got Raheem Morris, brand new defensive coordinator after Robert Saleh became the new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. So wondering how he's going to do with all the tools that he has at his disposal. So that's the thing I'm kind of thinking about and wondering, and I can't give them a 4 because I don't know what Raheem Morris is going to do with the pieces that he has, and along with Kyle Shanahan and the things over there that kind of bother me when he gets a little too cute sometimes.
Yeah, I know. Yep. I've seen those games. So, okay. I understand that completely. Who do you think will carry the team this year, offense or defense?
That's a good question. In the perfect world, it would be balanced. Some games offense shows up, some games defense. But right now, I have to say the offense, because there's a lot of familiarity there, even though George Kittle won't be there to start the season, or he may not be there to start the season. I'm not for sure yet. It hasn't been mentioned or not. But even if George Kittle does or does not start the season, I still think the offense will, and I think the defense over the year will continue to kind of get stronger and learn what Raheem Morris wants to do, and he learns them as well.
Yeah, I could see that. If you could trade drafts with any other team, who would that team be? So you would ship out all of your draft picks, and they would ship in all of their draft picks to be added to your team. Which team would you choose?
Oh, that's a good one. That is a really, really good one. Honestly, I would trade with the Tennessee Titans. I'd take Colonel Tate over Stribling. I'd also take the kid up front, Keldrick Falk, because he kind of, when it was talked about when it comes to the Titans, Robert Saleh kind of compared him to Eric Armstead, who is a former 49er. So that's where that one goes. As far as the center, they got to me, I believe they got a starter in Pat Coogan from Indiana. So that would be an immediate starter and a young starter at the center position. I mean, I know the 49ers have a guy there, but hey, you can move that guy to guard. You got to get your best five out there.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Good. I love that.
That's what I look at. And then of course, you got Anthony Hill Jr. Of course he would be behind Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah.
But I would say that would be a good addition as well to me because Dre Greenlaw is only on a 1-year deal. You have Anthony Hill sit and learn, boom, pop him right in there by Fred Warner, and there you go. You got magic happening.
Oh my gosh, if Anthony Hill Jr. got to play next to Fred Warner, I would probably tune in every single game for every single snap just to watch him learn and develop over the year. I love that. Okay, so if your team had oh gosh, here we go again. This always happens. Same old 49ers. This crap is like, this is what we do. What would that be for you?
Okay, I know 49ers fans are tired of hearing this word. That would be injuries. Injuries. I know I am so tired of hearing, oh, this guy's out for this time. This guy's out for that time. This guy's out for this. This guy's out for that. I don't want to hear that anymore. Now, I will tell you the funny thing about the tower and all that stuff and people looking into that. That was
Oh yeah.
that was amusing. That was amusing.
Yeah.
That was amusing. But
So
to
that does
me,
that mean you clicked on it and went down the rabbit hole just to double check?
no, I really didn't go down the
You
rabbit
didn't?
hole as
Okay.
much. I was
I
like,
did.
yeah, it's like, nah. But to me, it was more the I have questions about the 49ers training staff. I've always had
Mm,
questions about the 49ers training staff. How do three guys have the same calf injury? What is going on with that? So to me, I have questions about the 49ers training staff and what they're doing to get these players prepared to play football each and every Sunday. That's where I have a question mark. Now, I believe I can't remember if they did or did not make any adjustments to the training staff this offseason, but if they didn't, I'm looking at John Lynch at this point, like, hey man, what we gonna do? We need to make
right.
some changes here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And you know what's interesting is I feel like the training staff is one of those positions and one of those areas that a lot of people just don't think about unless it's not working correctly. And that could actually be the biggest impact to your team. If your guys aren't out there,
mhm.
then they're not something's not gone something has gone wrong. So that's a good call out. Not a lot of people call out their strength and conditioning staff to be like, guys, what are we doing? What is going on here? So yeah, we'll see how that works out. It did seem like every 3 weeks somebody was going out for a season ending something or another, or they're going to miss the next 4 weeks or whatever that is. So it did seem to happen a lot last year. So let's see if they figure that out. Let's see. Okay. So if you could send a message to the team's owner or the team's GM, what kind of message would you send to them? You can pick whoever you want to send that message to. Who would you send the message to?
Mm, I would say ownership. Ownership. I love the stadium in Santa Clara. It's a beautiful stadium. I've been there before. But can we move the team back closer to San Francisco? I know that's not possible right now because it is what it is. It's over now. They're gonna be in Santa Clara. Uh, Beautiful area. They got a theme park right next to the stadium, by the way, for folks that don't know, and they share a parking lot right next to the stadium. However, it just seems weird, the San Francisco 49ers, and you're 45 minutes to an hour away from Oakland, San Francisco area. So to me, yeah, that kind of, you kind of get feels of like, but it is what it is. They're not going to call them the Santa Clara 49ers. They're still going to call them the San Francisco 49ers. And I made my peace with that, but that's what I would tell the owner if I had the chance to talk to the owner.
Okay. And also, would you say more black uniforms at least more often than not?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I mean, if I had the chance to talk to the NFL, I'd be like, look here, look, NFL. You have white uniforms for every single team in the NFL. Why do we not have
Besides
black
the
uniforms
Steelers, we don't have whites.
for every single team in the NFL?
Yeah. Okay. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
The Steelers have had white pants at one point in time.
yeah, but it was so long ago. It was so long ago. I barely
Mm-hmm.
remember it. So,
Right,
anyways,
right. It
yeah,
was long ago.
yeah, I could go back and forth about this whole uniform thing because I have a lot to say about that. I have a lot of like randomness to like that I feel with the uniforms, but I get the NFL's a business. They're going to do what they want to do regardless. So I just let it be what it's going to be at this point. So, well, those were all the questions that I had for you. I love to end with anything else that you want to share, anything else you want us to know. As I mentioned at the beginning of this, all of your information will be in the show notes, be in the description so they can tap into your content. So that's one thing. And then the last thing I'll say, because I never really get to thank you publicly and live like this. So I want to thank you for all of the help and stuff that you give me in the background, whether it's like, I need to find a person or, hey, whatever it is I just appreciate you always being willing to help me, and you always responding back to me. Like, it might sound like a little thing, but I just appreciate you always showing up for me in that way. It's super helpful, and I just appreciate it. And so I don't know if I've gotten to thank you for that publicly in a while. And honestly, every chance I get to thank you publicly, I might do that. So that's just what I do. So, anyways, I will stop talking. We'll end on you. So, anything you want to share, and then I'll hit the end button.
All right. Well, just thank you for allowing me to come on the show and actually talk about the team I've loved since I was a kid, which, many people wonder why I'm a 49ers fan. I live in Tennessee. Let me give you the quick explanation. The Titans weren't here when I was born. I was born in 1982. Yes, I'm 44 years old. So basically, when I was a kid and first started liking football, I wanted to be Jerry Rice as a kid. So hence 49ers, there we go. That, of course, did not happen. Me being a wide receiver with incredible work ethic and things like that. Now, even with incredible work ethic, I still wasn't going to be Jerry Rice. But, I ended up actually playing on the opposite side of the ball. But, I've been a fan of that team since I was a kid. The Titans got here in 1999 when I was a senior in high school. So that point, love the home team, root for the home team, wish them well. But I'm a 49ers fan. That's just what it is. It is what it is. And, I wasn't going to change that after 18, or well, I would say 18 years, but after a while of being a 49ers fan, it just wasn't going to happen. Wish them well. God bless them. I enjoy talking to the organization and team and players. Love the new uniforms, by the way. But that's just my team. That's is what it is. And secondly, I want to say to you, one thing that I always practiced or always thought about when, I'm like, my profile changed, as I just thought about these things in the future, as your profile changes, don't become a person that doesn't respond to people. That's one thing that does, I didn't ever want to become, is a person that does not respond to people. Someone that, I want to be someone that responds promptly, actually talks to people, actually, I don't want to become that isolated person, because that's a lonely place when you become isolated. So, I just want to thank you again for the opportunity. Always thankful for any opportunity I get to talk sports. Sport, as well. So thank you for the opportunity. And of course, you all can find me and see me on these, Twitter streets at Mike Patton 82, or Instagram and Threads. You can find me there at that's THA_general_NP. And toward the AFC South, you can find that on all listening platforms. And like was said, the information will be in everything too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I will connect with you soon, I'm sure, about something.